Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars. Come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risked their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has. When you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo? You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
From the red dirt roads to the Capitol steps, Rick's calling out the truth, no time for regrets. He's got fire in his voice and facts in his hand, talking sense to the people all across this land. It's the Rick Robinson Show, where truth lies high, no spin, no script, just a needle in the sky. From DC to Tulsa and OKC, he's calling it out with a mic and a mission and a whole lot of clout. This is Heartland Radio, raw and real. Tune in, speak up, and feel what we feel. He's breaking down the noise, he's cutting through the lies, shining a light where the shadow hides. With guests on the line and callers on deck, he's the voice of the folks DC tends to forget. Grab your coffee, raise the flag, he's standing tall, the white flag news with the backbone voice of the free. Rick's got the pulse of democracy. It's the Rick Robinson Show, bold on and rain. Truth bombs dropping like a racing parade. From the plains to the power, he's speaking it loud with a mic and a message that'll make you proud. Yeah, it's talk for the people, talk that's real. The Rick Robinson.
And happy Tuesday morning, America. Otherwise known as Not Monday Day around here. You have survived the dreaded Monday, and now you're hanging out with me. Unfortunately, today is my Monday. Got behind on some projects, so I took the last couple of days off to reorganize and figure out how to get ahead on projects again. So I've been hitting the ground running since about 6 this morning. We'll be with you until about noon Eastern time today. Then I'll be doing some work with a couple of clients to get things ready for the week. Going to try to put some Twitchies out later today, too, so be on the lookout for those. But first, we've got this. This is the Rick Robinson Show, and it's Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. It's also about, 5 days till my middle son's birthday. So, yeah. All my kids are old now. He's about to turn 29. Even my youngest is like in his mid-20s now. I'm like, this doesn't seem possible. But anyway, so my middle son is about to turn 29. We'll be celebrating with him on Sunday, which is actually not his birthday. But my stepmom also has a birthday within a couple of days of his. So we're going to be taking everybody out to a nice little restaurant after church on Sunday. So yay, fun times. Anyway. Also been trying to figure out why I've been in a funk all month. I think I finally figured it out. It's also like a week from my now defunct and not necessary wedding anniversary. So anyway, I was like, why am I just in this mood? I can't seem to get out of it. It just occurred to me. I was like, oh, that's why. Yeah, this would have been, 25? Yeah, this would have been 22 years together if she hadn't pulled the ripcord. So anyway, all right, so enough about that. Let's talk about the things that are important, not Rick having a mental spin out, which still happens 5 years later, by the way. Healing is a weird thing because there's like days when you feel like you're just on top of everything and everything's going great, and then there's other days where it just punches you in the gut all over again. Today seems to be one of those days. However, there are plenty of things to talk about that don't involve that, and I don't want to continue to focus on it. So let's talk about the things that are going on in the news. So, of course, Friday, was the Alaska summit, and the left had a field day with that one because they felt like Trump left the table with nothing. And I would also like to point out that they spent the entire weekend talking about how Volodymyr Zelensky was bringing reinforcements with him to the White House this time because of how he was treated the last time. That's not actually what happened, though. So first things first, because this is going to make the left, well, actually probably already has made the left have kittens. Let's talk about this little moment, shall we? Hang on.
The conversation was a conversation among friends, among close allies who respect each other, who like each other, who know each other very well, discussing how we can bring this terrible war to an end. And this is a goal we all have in common. And without President Trump, this deadlock with Putin would not have been broken. He was the only one who could do that, starting in February.
So yes, ladies and gentlemen, trust me, just for fun, I'm going to leave this on the screen for a minute. Probably not like that though, because holy crap, that makes my face way too big. Y'all don't want to see all that. Anyway, I'm going to leave that on the screen for a second, just because. But I would like to point out what basically what the NATO Secretary General just said. Nobody but Trump could have done this. This is going to send the left into a tizzy, and probably already has. I will admit, I've been playing catch up all morning, which is why I've been up so early, because I didn't really pay that much attention to the news cycle yesterday. And I kind of wish I had, because I completely forgot this was happening yesterday because I've been working on other projects. And I was like, damn it, I'm missing all the fun stuff. But yeah, so I've been playing catch up. So this was kind of important to talk about because, according to the left, Donald Trump is a laughingstock. According to the left, the world hates us now. So just for fun, we're going to play this again. Hang on.
The conversation was a conversation among friends.
Okay. Does that sound like somebody who doesn't like us? Is it my imagination, or does that, not sound like somebody who doesn't like us? What did he just say? The conversation is a conversation among friends. Not friends and Trump, not the crazy guy in the White House, like the left wants to portray him as being talked about in the rest of the world, but a conversation among friends.
Among close allies who respect each other, who like each other, who know.
Among close allies, not people with strained relationships, not people who feel like the divide is widening between them, but close allies and friends. Yes,
each other very.
I'm having fun taking this apart because it makes the left sound retarded. But there's something else that makes the left sound retarded that we'll be getting into here in a minute too. Because in case you've missed it, they're changing the name of MSDNC, and they did not think this through.
Well, discussing how we can bring this terrible war to an end. And this is a goal we all have in common. And without President Trump, this deadlock with Putin would not have been broken. He was the only one who could do that, starting in February. The conversation.
He was the only one that could do this starting in February. Now, I'm not going to keep beating a dead horse here, but I just wanted to point this out. That this is not the voice of a man who feels like he's not able to talk to the president, doesn't have the ear of the president, doesn't have the president willing to listen to him. This is the man who said, if not for Trump, I don't even think we would be here. Now, I would also like to point out that during this moment, some of these world leaders got a taste of everything that Donald Trump goes through every day, and we've got that here too. So here we go. All right, so we ready?
That's all we ask for is fairness with the media. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being so fair. Thank you, Donald. He goes through this every day.
All the time.
But he loves it. He loves it. For he does it always. I never want to speak with my friend.
All right, so we're going to take that apart a little bit too. But just in case you couldn't make that out very well, I know they started adding subtitles for Maloney. So I'm pretty sure you guys could make that last part out. But I just want to talk about this because when she says, thank you for being so fair, what you really can't see because the shot's kind of small and she was making a face while she said it. And then someone else in the crowd, and let me look, I think it was, I have it in the notes here. So it was Stubb. You go through this every day? There's no, he's like, what? What? So that's the president of Finland for about a year and a half. So then Maloney goes on to say he loves it. He does it always. I never want to speak to my press. All right. So let's take that apart for a second. Again, does this even in there now? Keep in mind, the mics are still rolling, but they've already called it quits. Does this sound like a group of people that don't like the president? As a matter of fact, it seems like they're amazed of what our press puts him through, which is something that I don't think I've ever seen before. When you've got world leaders coming over and starting to make fun of our press corps because of how rabid they are, that should get their attention. Is it going to? Probably not. Is it going to make a damn bit of difference? Probably not. But that's the part that I wanted to talk about for a good part of the show, since we only do the 2-hour formats in the first parts of the week now, is the fact that despite what the left wants you to think, despite what leftist media sources want you to think, despite what all the rabid leftist crazy people want you to think, including the politicians that are currently paying to have people protest, allegedly. I can't necessarily say it's politicians, but where the hell else is the money going to come from? We are respected again on the world stage. They don't want you to think that. They wanted you to take away from the Alaska summit that Trump didn't get anything that he wanted. You know what he was able to do? He was able to show Vladimir Putin, we will respect you as a world leader if you act like one. And this is what's going to happen if you don't. Did you guys miss the subtle point of him having the B-2 flyover? The very same plane that ended Iran's nuclear dreams in like 2.5 seconds? Because I didn't. And it was a beautiful moment because Vladimir wasn't expecting it either. Putin was like, what? But that's just it. It wasn't just about military prowess. This was showing off economic prowess. These are the things that we can do. These are the things that we can do if you don't work with us. And it is about respect on the world stage, because I've been telling you guys this for a long time. Eastern culture and Western culture are not the same. I don't care what part of Eastern you're talking about, whether it be Eastern Europe, the Middle East, or the Far East. Eastern culture and Western culture are not the same. In most Eastern cultures, they respond to strength. They only understand strength. And Donald Trump knows that, much more than any modern day politician seems to understand it. This is why, believe it or not, because the left hates this. All of the gold accents in the White House, because they're complaining about all the gold that he's adding, it's because he's working in the Eastern cultures to bring peace, and gold to them represents power and strength. Everything that he's doing is subtle if you understand it. But it is huge key points that matter to the people that he's primarily trying to work with. Now, I've got an article that I just noticed that we're going to go through together because I haven't seen this yet. But apparently he's revealed the reason he's so motivated to end wars. This is from Leah Berkowkis over at our friends over at Town Hall. President Trump told Fox and Friends Tuesday morning, damn it, I knew I should have had that on this morning. I heard late that he was going to be on and I missed it. Tuesday morning about the phone, Fox and Friends Tuesday morning about the phone call he made to Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday during a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and other European leaders. Trump stepped out to phone his Russian counterpart to work on setting up a direct meeting with Zelensky. If that occurs, the next step would be a trilateral meeting where Trump said he would close it up, but he emphasized the two need to speak directly first. They haven't been exactly best friends, he said. They haven't gotten along very well. Trump touted the wars he has ended while acknowledging he thought the Russian-Ukraine conflict would be one of the easier ones to solve, but it's proven to be the toughest one. I hope President Putin is going to be good, and if not, it's going to be a rough situation, and I hope that President Zelensky will do what he has to do. He has to show some flexibility. Also, this thing's a mess, the president said. All right, so we've got some clips that I want to play here, a couple of different ones. So hang on, I'm going to get them queued up. So here's a clip from the phone. Here's a clip from the phone interview from Fox and Friends this morning, in case you haven't heard it either, because I missed it. I'm mad that I missed it because I knew it was going to be on, and I forgot to turn my TV on because I was up. I was up. Dang it! That's the part that makes me the most mad. I was there. I could have done it. I could have listened, and I missed it. But here we go together.
I know yesterday you talked about arranging a meeting to take place in 2 weeks between Putin and Zelensky. Is there an update there, and do you plan to attend?
No, I thought I'd do first let them meet. You know, they haven't been exactly best friends. They haven't gotten along very well. And I called President Putin yesterday, and I do have a good relationship, but it only matters if we get things done. Otherwise, I don't care about the relationship. I do have a good relationship with him, but I want to get things done. You know, I've solved 7 wars. We ended 7 wars. I thought this would be one of the easier ones, and this has turned out to be the toughest one. India, Pakistan, I mean, these were big ones, and also all big ones, and some going for 31, 32 years, one for 35 years. The Congo, think of that, the Congo and Rwanda for 35 years. I got that one done. I got them all done, but this one is the one that is the most difficult, and I thought it would be an easy one. So I hope President Putin is going to be good, and if he's not, it's going to be a rough situation. And I hope that President Zelensky will do what he has to do. He has to show some flexibility also. The thing is a mess. This was started by Joe Biden. This was a war that should have never happened. Millions of people are dead. The country's blown to pieces, Ukraine, and it's a shame,
All right, so that's cut 1 from there, and I think the next one is actually one of the ones that I was referencing when it comes to the flyover. So hang on just a second. My computer and I are having issues today. I don't know why, too, because I even gave it a day off. All right, so I think this is actually him still talking on the phone while they're playing the clip that I was referencing. So hang on. I love this flyby thing. So yes, we're definitely playing it again. Yeah.
Just want to end it. I want to end it. We're not losing American lives. We're not losing American soldiers. We're losing Russian and Ukrainian, mostly soldiers. Some people, as missiles hit wrong spots or get lobbed into cities like Kiev and towns. But, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I hear I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons. Well, I think I saved a lot of lives with India, Pakistan. They were going at it. The planes were being shot down. That was going to be maybe a nuclear war if I let that go. And I did that through trade.
All right, so I guess it didn't have the flyby portion. I'm going to actually see if I can find that for later today just because I like playing that. But yeah, again, I love how he jokes about his own salvation because of how the left portrays him. It's like, I'm hearing I'm not doing very well, so I'm trying to see if I can save like 7,000, lives. What was it, a day? I think he said, to see if it'll get me into heaven. Mr. President, as long as you've accepted Jesus, you're going to be there anyway. Anyway, so, but, say what you want about the man. He seems like he's really trying to do the best that he can with the power that he has. And I don't remember the last time I saw anybody really trying to do that. I mean, that's just it. I don't remember the last time that I saw somebody with the position of power that he's in actually doing everything he can to try to make the world a better place. Not to reshape it in his own image, not to reshape it based on Western values, but to actually try to make the world a better place. This man, and I think the Secretary General said it really well, Donald Trump is a pragmatic peacemaker. Because he's willing to at least bring people to the table and talk about things that they may not want to talk about just to see if they can get to an agreement or not. Now, by the end of this thing, I don't know how satisfied Ukraine's going to be. By the end of this thing, I don't know how satisfied Russia's going to be. But the thing that has been knocking around in the back of my mind, and honestly, if they had managed to do it more quickly, I would be more concerned about it. If Vladimir Putin had been able to roll through Ukraine in 3 days, like all the world pundits thought that he was going to be able to do, I'm pretty sure he would have moved on and tried to resecure the rest of the Soviet Union, because I think that was part of his original plan. He's been held up for so long and had so many of his people going through the shredder known as war that he doesn't have the population left to be able to do it. And their population was already in decline. This is the primary reason why he went into the regions he went into to begin with, is because those were primarily people of Russian descent that are technically, they speak Russian, they are Russian, and he wanted his people back because his population's in decline. If his population was in decline before, it's absolutely in free fall now. And we're starting to see the same thing going on in China because of everything that is happening there with the Wuhan virus and the fact that they were hit much. And I said what I said. Don't even add me. I don't care. It's the Wuhan virus. It started there. YouTube can pull me if they want. I don't care. I'm done pulling punches with stuff that we now know to be fact. It's just that simple. But that's just it. Most of the world, including the United States, unfortunately, is in a population decline. The left has wanted it this way for a while. If you don't believe me, just look at their Agenda 2030 stuff. They want us to be a much smaller population because we're easier to manage. And it is a lot easier to do central planning and central location of all things if we are a much smaller population that is easier to manage. This is why they hate him, because he's stopping that. Other things we're going to be getting into today, the fact that gas prices continue to fall in the middle of summer, which will eventually help offset some of this tariff crap anyway, because everybody's like, oh, this company says they're raising prices next month. This company says this company says that. If gas prices keep falling, everything's going to stay at least the way it was before. And we still have much lower inflation than we ever had under Biden. Trust me, is it where I want it to be? No, because I think we need to figure out how to do some negative inflation for a while. Get prices back to what they were 10, 20, 30 years ago. I don't know a safe way to do it, but I would love if we could do it. Because I don't know about you, but making the kind of money I make now and being able to pay $2.75 for a movie ticket and have it actually be, good money for them still would be amazing to me. I don't know how far we're going to be able to knock this down. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to knock it down, because everybody seems to think as long as there's a gradual price increase through inflation on an annual basis, that's fine. Not if you start pricing out the people that are on fixed incomes, though. So is everything perfect? No. Is everything a damn sight better than it would have been under Kamilama Hamasnik? I guarantee it, because we'd probably already be learning how to speak Russian or Chinese by now if she'd won. Because they would have just rolled over and let him come on in. I actually completely believe that. A lot of people look at me sideways when I say things like that, but I do completely believe that would be exactly what happened. All right, we are at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and take our music interlude break now. When we come back, much, much, much more to discuss on this Not Monday Day edition of the Rick Robinson Show, live right here on KLRradio.com. Stay tuned.
The edge of midnight, boots sunk in black rain. Got no name, no shadow, just this long, slow pain. Smoke fills my chest where the light used to be. Now it's just whiskey, dust, and the scream inside of me. My strings cry blood, every note a scar. I ain't playing music, I'm confessing to the dark. Devil's grin on my back, angels won't dare speak, 'cause the scream in my soul ain't for the weak. It howls when I'm sleeping, it roars when I pray, a curse in my bones that won't fade away. No heaven, no savior, no promise to keep, just the scream of my soul, it never sleeps. This guitar's a coffin, I strum it like a sin. Buried my dreams, now I play what's within. The grave ain't 6 feet, it's deep in my chest, where the scream crawls out and won't let me rest. I begged for silence, I begged for peace, but the voice inside just won't release. It moans in the wind, it haunts every chord, a blues man's curse and his only reward. It howls when I'm sleeping, it roars when I pray, a curse in my bones that won't fade away. No heaven, no savior, no promise to keep, just the scream of my soul, and it never sleeps. So if you hear it at night, don't follow the sound. It's not a song, it's the scream of the damned.
And welcome back into the Tuesday edition of the Rick Robinson Show, live right here on KLR Radio. Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. Thank you to everybody who's hanging out with us. Got a full board already. Got like over 200 of you hanging out in the first 30 minutes. Let's see how high we can get that number today. If you're new around here, make sure you are hitting the follow button, the subscribe button, whichever one you have access to. Also, make sure you're liking and sharing the feed. X and YouTube, I know for sure X is. I think YouTube might be too. Are testing out new algorithms, so let's make sure to see if we can break through those today. Please and thank you. The dreaded algorithms are terrible for us conservative type folks, but we try to break through them each time they make all these changes. All right, so I've got a video clip I want to play real quick of an arrest where where things don't go so well for a leftist. This is from our friends at the Blaze, where I pulled the video from. I'm not going to go over the full YouTube. I'm just going to let you guys know that's why it looks a little weird. So anyway, here we go. Oh, I thought I changed it already. Let me fix that. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. I know, right? BZ, the left coaster is the first one to type in my chat today. I think everybody that normally chats with me is working, though. So I think that's why. I've gotten a couple text messages from folks being like, I'm listening, but I can't chat today because reasons. You guys in your work schedule interfering with my work is annoying. Not really. I'm glad you all have jobs and are gainfully employed and aren't a bunch of damn hippies. All right, here we go.
An update now on a story we first told you about last week. 12 News has obtained body-worn camera footage of the arrest of a Rhode Island Special Assistant Attorney General. Devin Flanagan faces a trespassing charge after a restaurant in Newport asked her and another woman to leave last week. Kate Wilkinson went through the video and joins us live in the studio with some of that footage. Kate.
Special Assistant Attorney General Devin Flanagan repeatedly tells the police officer she's an attorney general. And as she's being put in the back of a police cruiser, she tells the officer, "You're going to regret this."
Trespass, yeah. I just need trespass. Got to please. All right. So you're trespassing, so we got to leave now. Unless you want to be in there.
We're not trespassing. You haven't notified us that we're trespassing. I'm an AG. I'm an AG. I'm an AG. But you're gonna regret this. Yeah. You're gonna regret it.
Now, the Attorney General's office says it is reviewing the Thursday night incident. The office told 12 News Friday that a review would take a few days. I checked in with them today, and they told me they have no updates as of this time. A spokesperson says Flanagan has been with the office for 7 years and is currently working with the appellate unit of the criminal division. I reached out to Flanagan for comment, but did not immediately hear back. Tonight at 4, I'll show you more of the footage where Flanagan was trying to get the officer to turn off his body-worn camera. Live in the studio, Kate Wilkinson, 12 News.
So here's my question. Why does being an attorney general or with the AG's office seem to make you think you're immune from people saying, hey, you're being, obnoxious and need to leave? It was simple trespass, from what I understand. All she had to do was leave. She chose not to leave. Do you know, as somebody who's worn multiple types of badges in my life, I did my best not to have to try to do that. And it got even worse as when I started working the private side, because then if I called PD out to trespass somebody and they refused to leave and PD had to arrest them, I was the one that had to sign the ticket, which means if they decided to go to court, I had to go to court. I would bend over backwards to try not to have to do that stuff. I hated paperwork on both sides of the job. But when it gets to the point where you're just like, no, and they're just like, well, I'm an AG. Nobody cares. Dude, I have because of legal ability to do so. I have to admit it was weird finding out that in a lot of ways, as what the New Yorkers called a square badge, I had a lot more authority than even the cops. And I found this out one night because I'm working at a set of clubs and we had a patrol contract for an apartment complex across the street. So that night I was running the patrol routes and I get a call about somebody doing, something suspicious outside of an apartment. And they're like walking down the street with a box full of stuff. So knowing the difference between what is exactly a Fourth Amendment violation and what is not, as a private citizen, I asked for permission to search the box. He said it was fine. I found all kinds of stuff in the box. Then, of course, when the cops got there, he said he didn't give me permission. They're like, you're violating his rights for search and seizure. I'm like, and at this point, this is a lieutenant who was fairly new to the district and the captain who I actually happen to know. And I looked at the captain and kind of rolled my eyes. Well, the one good one, but back then it didn't roll. It wasn't as bad as it is now, but as it's gotten older, it's gotten worse. Backstory there is I've had several surgeries. I've died on the table twice. I'm not doing any more surgeries, so that's why the eye's still the way it is. But anyway, so I look at the lieutenant and start laughing. I'm like, hey, buddy, do me a favor. Describe to me what's on your badge. The seal right there in the center. Well, it's the state seal for the state of Oklahoma. What's on my badge? Couple of American flags. You, sir, are a representative of the state. You, sir, have to worry about Fourth Amendment. And the captain looks at the lieutenant and says, come on, Rook. We got paperwork. Leave this man alone. Oh, yeah, no. And Steven, there's always a reason to talk in my chat. I at least try to acknowledge you when I see you. Just pointing that out. Yeah, I don't have to do that either. And well, actually, I did get in trouble once. And I said this in front of the cops because somebody said he didn't give me my Miranda rights. I'm like, well, that's actually his job. But while we're on the subject, I can either give you your Miranda rights or your last rights. Since I'm an ordained minister, which one would you prefer? The cop that I was working with that night did not find that funny. I did. So did my crew. But yeah. Yeah. That did not go over well. Oh, I swear I had more fun on the private side than I ever had on the public side. Just saying. I could get away with so much more stuff. Just saying. Just saying. All right. So, yeah, I mean, that story is just amazing to me because there's people that just think because they have a badge in their pocket, they can literally do anything, or that because they're affiliated with a state's attorney general's office or whatever, that they can literally do anything. And then they find out the hard way they can't. I would be really surprised if this person isn't placed on administrative leave soon and eventually cashiered out just to avoid any further scandal. But then again, it is a leftist, so who knows? Just don't do that again. Okay, so let's see what else we've got going on in the final moments of this hour. So apparently there's been an update about the Epstein files. This is news to me. I don't know if this may or may not be a nothing burger. This is again from our friends at Town Hall, Leah Barkaukis, I think. One of these days I'm going to figure out how to pronounce her name so I don't feel quite so underwhelmed by my pronunciation of it. So the House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer announced the Justice Department will begin handing over Jeffrey Epstein-related files this week. Officials with the Department of Justice has informed us that the department will begin to provide Epstein-related records to the Oversight Committee this week on Friday. The Kentucky Republican said in a statement, there are many records in DOJ's custody, and it will take the department time to produce all of the records and ensure the identification of victims and any child sex abuse materials are redacted. I appreciate the Trump administration's commitment to transparency and efforts to provide the American people with information about this matter. Looks like there's a clip, so let's hear it from him instead of me. Hang on. It's not a very long clip, so there's not much here, but at least there's something.
We're having really good conversations. You have to understand how many, you can imagine how many documents there are. I think that we're going to have I think we'll receive the documents very soon. They're compiling everything together. I think we're working together in a good faith effort, and everything's coming along. I expect to receive the documents very, very soon.
All right, so the question is going to be, is anything going to come out of that? Yeah, BZ in the chat. I don't know. I routinely applied gargantuan sarcasm when in patrol. My job was to talk over most people's heads, bandying about multisyllabic words. We did that too. Dude, my favorite traffic stop situation, I swear to God, out of all of them was I'm working in the area of an apartment complex and I pull this guy over for, like 10 over. So I start searching him. And so I'm doing the standard pat down. I'm like, do I have consent to search your person for my safety and for yours? Because, they started making us ask that. Don't know why, but they did. So then as I'm patting him down, I find something in his pocket. So I'm like, is there anything in here that can stick me, poke me, prod me, hand grenades, anything I need to be aware of? He's like, no. And I could normally tell, when I threw something in there like hand grenades, rocket launchers, if they didn't laugh it off, there was a problem. This guy didn't laugh it off. So I reach into his pocket and pull out a bag of weed. First thing I hear is, these aren't my pants. I swear these aren't my pants. I borrowed them from my roommate. Yeah, buddy. Possession is 9/10, my friend. And keep in mind, this was 90s, so. Oh, yeah, I know. I just like to point it out because everybody's like, oh, they're not going to do anything with it because Trump's in it, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. They're still moving forward with it, though, guys, which obviously tells you everything you need to know about whether or not Trump's actually in there. Just pointing that out. Because, like, BZ just pointed it out in the chat. If he was in there, we would have known by now. Okay, so remember how I said I was off for a couple of days trying to get caught up on some other stuff? Apparently, Marco Rubio had a moment in the sun during the Sunday shows. So in the last few minutes of this hour, let's talk about that. Getting them queued up now, so 1 second. I haven't even looked at this yet. This will be a live reaction for all of us because I just saw the clip and wanted to pull it. So let's find out. Because if it's funny, we'll all know. If it's not, we'll all know. All right, so here we go.
Terry, I want to play something you said about President Putin. This was right after the invasion in March of 2022. Take a look.
This guy lies, habitually lies. He's never kept a deal he's ever signed, and he lies all the time. And I don't know why, but he plays this like a violin in the West, because the West wants to believe that you can cut a deal with everybody. You can't cut a deal with guys like this. He's a professional, experienced liar.
Mr. Secretary, given that, what makes you think that if you are able to reach a deal with President Putin, that he would stick to it, based on, as you just said, he's a liar?
Well, that's the point. That's why the deal has to have enforceable mechanisms in it. That's why the deal has to have things like security guarantees. That's the point I was making a few minutes ago when you were asking me about looking someone in the eye. What's important here is actions, not words, not paper, document. Those are all important. Those are elements of a deal, but they have to be enforceable. They have to be verifiable. They have to be enduring. There's no point here in signing a deal that's going to be violated in 3 or 4 months. There's no point in doing that. It actually would make things worse. So that's why this is such a difficult thing. Not only do you need a deal, you need a deal that's verifiable, that's enforceable, and that's enduring. If you don't achieve that, then I think you could have a ceasefire for a few months, a few weeks, and then the war will start again and more people will die. That's not the outcome we're interested in. That's not the outcome anyone wants. So that's why this is so difficult.
All right. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, thank you so much for joining us after an historic week. We really
Notice she didn't really have much to say after that other than let's wrap this segment because it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. Because he's not wrong in either case. Putin is a lying liar who lies. He's a former KGB agent, much like a Marine. I don't know if you can ever say former when it comes to KGB. Because once that's in you, it never really leaves. This is one of the reasons why, again, I stress, if he had managed to roll through Ukraine in 3 days the way everybody thought he was going to, especially with Biden still in office, he would have started trying to reassemble the rest of the Soviet Union. I have gone on record as disagreeing with even hosts that I was working with at the time that were like, no, he won't do that. No, trust me, he would have. I don't think he will now. And if he does, it'll be a while till he can try again because they're going to have some babies to make up for everybody that they're murdering. So, and that's the thing. Russia's not a world power right now, which makes them even more dangerous when you stop and think about it, which is why you've seen the former presidents, the guy who means absolutely nothing anymore, throwing around the idea of, well, we already have nukes, unlike Iran, so don't try to do anything crazy. Brother, that is... I would like, for anybody who thinks there's any credence to that statement, I would like to remind you of the only country that has ever actually uncorked the sun on anyone, not once, but twice. Do you really want to make that kind of threat with us? Really? Because you may have them. We've actually used them. I would just like to point that out. And sometimes, much like in Lethal Weapon, the craziest guy in the room usually wins. So I don't know why we don't bring that up more often. Like, don't threaten us with nukes. You just go look and see what we did with Japan. Don't be threatening us. Don't be threatening us. All right. So what else can we get into on the way out to the break? Oh, yeah. So something else that I did, in fact, vote for. Apparently, the Trump administration has just massively raised the bar on people who can, in fact, become a U.S. citizen. So we're going to read a little bit from this article. This is from Terry Christoph over at Red State. We already knew the Trump administration was serious about relieving the country of illegals, having put significant resources into ridding American streets of the most violent and dangerous thugs who had for years been allowed to waltz across the southern border. Now we're hearing that the administration is kicking things up a few notches by significantly raising the standards for immigrants who wish to go through the naturalization process. In short, the administration is signaling that it is not enough just to boot the bad guys. We must also thoroughly and vigorously vet those foreigners who wish to stay in the U.S. permanently and become citizens. This is directly from a new memo, which I have right here. So this is dated August 15th, 2025, policy memorandum, subject: restoring a rigorous, holistic, and comprehensive good moral character evaluation standard for aliens applying for naturalization. And this is, and I'm going to I'm going to, as BZ says, because it keeps me from having to play the giggity soundtrack or sound effect, I'm going to embiggen this so you guys can see it too before I put it on the screen. So hang on. Wrong button, dummy. Well, not quite, but close. Right screen, wrong button. All right, so this should make it for those of you, even those of you that are watching on a phone, should be able to at least see some of it. This is to show you that I am actually pulling it directly from the source. So, evaluating aliens seeking to become naturalized is the most sacred and profound responsibility that U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, otherwise known as USCIS, is charged with performing. Becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen means being an active and responsible member of society instead of just having a right to live and work in the United States. Among other eligibility factors, aliens applying for naturalization must demonstrate that he or she, would again like to point out there are only two genders listed here, has been and continues to be an individual of good moral character. Evaluating good moral character involves more than a cursory mechanical review focused on the absence of wrongdoing and entails a holistic assessment of an alien's behavior, adherence to societal norms. Ooh, the left is go. The left is gonna hate this sentence right here. And positive contributions that affirmatively demonstrate good moral character. This memorandum charters an improved direction for making good moral character determinations and signals a return to a comprehensive totality of circumstances approach to good moral character under Section 101F of the Immigration and Naturalization Act. So this is given through the authority of the INA 101 subsection A43, definition of aggravated felony, INA 103A, powers and duties of Secretary of Homeland Security, and pre-1990 discretionary framework. Before the early 1990s, INS officers determined good moral character broadly through a model that treated the bars in INA 101F as the minimum disqualifiers, not as exclusive criteria. Officers considered rehabilitative evidence, volunteer services, family responsibilities, and other positive traits in weighing good moral character. Post-1990 statutory changes. The Immigration Act of 1990 expanded the definition of aggravated felony to include offenses committed on or after November 29, 1990, creating a permanent bar to GMC and moving away from considering individual circumstances for those convictions. Later, Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigration Responsibilities Act introduced fixed bars for issues like drug offenses, fraud, and misrepresentation, further pushing the policy towards a firm checklist that equated GMC with the absence of statutory disqualifications rather than the presence of positive moral conduct and character. Current legal framework under INA 316A and 8 CFR 316.2, officers apply the preponderance of evidence standard to all naturalization requirements. Although certain bars remain unconditional and permanent, e.g., murder, aggravated felony, torture, and genocide, for which no exception exists, the statute also includes a catch all clause stating that an alien may lack good moral character even if he or she does not commit an offense within one of these 9 enumerated classes. In assessing conditional bars, officers have the authority and now explicit directive to weigh all relevant evidence, both adverse and favorable, before granting or denying naturalization. So this is a rather long memo. I'm not going to go through all of it. I'm going to put the Red State article that I pulled this from out on X here in just a second after we go to break. So anybody who wants to go through it and wants to read through it all later can. But I, for one, think this is an awesome idea. We need to get back to the idea that we want people coming here who want to, 1, assimilate, 2, become a part of the American culture. I know I just said something redundant. And 3, want to actually, make the country a better place. First day of school for you or for the kiddos, Raptor? Did you go back to school and not tell me? Yeah, Gracie's been back in since last Thursday, which is why it's actually been easier for me to get up earlier and do the things I need to do because I don't have a little hobbit underfoot going, Papa, 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 what are you doing now? What are you doing now? I miss the kid when she's gone, but it makes my work easier when she's at school. BZ, you're making it sound like he's hanging out at the bus stops eating all the kids. I don't know how I feel about that, sir. Oh, so this will kind of lead into an update from another story. I just found this on with our friends at the Blaze. So this will probably be where we'll close out the hour. So apparently an illegal alien accused of killing 3 dodged deportation, stayed in U.S. claiming fear of India, of all places. So apparently the DHS is weighing in on a rule that allowed this to happen. So how many more innocent people have to die before Gavin Newsom stops playing games with the safety of the American public? Answer, all of them. So an illegal alien accused of killing 3 people on a Florida highway was previously processed for deportation, but was able to stay after claiming he feared being sent back to his home country of India, according to reports. The illegal immigrant suspect was allegedly granted a license in Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom's, almost said Gassam. That might work too. Gavin Newsom. I think I could go with that. California, despite having no legal right to be in the United States. Harjinder Singh, age 28, was arrested around 3 p.m. on Tuesday after authorities said he made an illegal U-turn on the Florida Turnpike near Fort Pierce while driving a tractor trailer. Holy crap. Really? Wow, this is a story that I've heard about from multiple angles because there's all kinds of things wrong with this one. So the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office said in a statement, the incident involves a semi-truck and trailer that jackknifed and came to rest on top of a passenger vehicle at the 170-mile marker northbound side of the Florida Turnpike. The Florida Department of Highway and Safety and Motor Vehicles stated in a press release, based upon our initial but ongoing criminal investigation, is evident that the driver of the commercial semi-truck recklessly and without regard for the safety of others attempted to execute a U-turn, utilizing an unauthorized location. As a result of his actions, the 3 occupants of the minivan that he collided with and crushed is now deceased. The Palm Beach Post reported that the victims of the deadly crash were a 54-year-old man, ooh, that hurts, 2 years older than me, of Miami, a 37-year-old woman from Pompano Beach, and a 30-year-old man from Florida City. 2 of the crash victims were pronounced dead at the scene, while the driver was rushed to Lawnwood Hospital in Fort Pierce, where he died later that evening. The Florida Highway Patrol did not disclose the names of the victims. Video from the interior of the tractor trailer appears to show the exact moment when Singh reportedly made the illegal U-turn. I'm not going to play the video because it's too early for that. I'm not trying to subject anybody to that. But I would like to point out several things that are wrong with this. How is an illegal alien driving a tractor trailer? 2, when you miss your exit, especially in a tractor trailer, Most people who've actually been through proper driver training just know to go to the next exit and turn around, not try to pull a U-turn on a turnpike. 3, how much you want to bet dude has no insurance and it's probably a lease trailer? All right. Believe it or not, folks, we've hit that point, so we're going to have to take the break. We are at top of the hour. We've got 1 hour left with you today, so don't fret. We've got more show. Again, want to give a quick shout out to everybody hanging out in the chat so far. We've got BZ, we've got Raptor, we've got Steven. I know a couple of folks that are listening that are working and can't comment. Your job kills my soul, probably more than it kills yours. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars. Come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risk their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has, when you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Capitol steps, Rick's calling out the truth, no time for regrets. He's got fire in his voice and facts in his hand, talking sense to the people all across this land. It's the Rick Robinson Show, where truth lies high, no spin, no script, just a needle in the sky. DC and Tulsa and OKC, he's calling it out with a mic and a mission and a whole lot of clout. This is Heartland Radio, raw and real. Tune in, speak up, and feel what we feel. Cutting through the lies, shining a light where the shadow hides. With guests on the line and coders on deck, he's the voice of the folks DC tends to forget. Grab your coffee, raise the flag, he's standing tall. The white flag news with the backbone voice of the free. Rick's got the pulse of democracy. It's the Rick Robinson Show, bold on and Ray. Truth bombs dropping like a racing parade. From the plains to the power, he's speaking it loud. With a mic and a message that'll make you proud. It's time for the people.
Need them, take them out the hood, people looking good, but I don't fucking feed them. First time they bust, I'm breathing. Talk about what's the reason.
This bumper transition brought to you by our chat room. Welcome back into the program, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that was in case anybody, because I didn't play very much of it. That's Big Pimpin', in case you didn't know. There's a conversation going on in my chat room which inspired this. So this is why you should be listening and watching live. All right. So we're here, we're live. We got 1 hour left, and PZ likes his morning caffeine like he enjoys his revenge cold. You don't like hot coffee, really? Anyway, I'll be honest. On days like today, I normally start with either W Energy if I have any, or a Monster or something, and then I usually move into coffee. Don't tell my doctor, though. They yell at me when I double stack caffeine like that, but it's been a week already, and it's only Tuesday. So anyway, yeah, so nobody tell my doctor that I'm still double stacking caffeine, because I've been told I shouldn't do that anymore at my age, but they don't understand my work schedule. So did I mention that leftists often talk out of both sides of their mouth? Because here's the latest thing from J.B. Pritzker. We can't afford the cuts to Medicaid, but he's finding all kinds of funding for illegal immigrant financial aid. Maybe we wouldn't need to be discussing cuts to things like Medicaid if not for all the money that we were giving to stupid shit like this. So this will be our opening for this hour. The governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, has signed a new bill into law that would allow illegal immigrants to receive student financial aid. Just months after saying his state could not afford the cuts to Medicaid in President Trump's big, beautiful bill. The bill will establish equitable eligibility for financial aid and benefits to every student in Illinois, regardless of immigration status. It reads as follows. A student who is an Illinois resident and who is not otherwise eligible for federal financial aid, including but not limited to a transgender student who is disqualified for failure to register for selective service, or a non-citizen student who has not obtained lawful permanent residence, shall be eligible for financial aid and benefits. Dude, if anybody that I know is still living anywhere within the state of Illinois or California or all these other liberal shitholes, you should just move. Unless you are somebody who plans on bringing your crap to the red state you're moving to, then just stay where you are. This is nuts to me. So State Senator Selena Villanueva, kind of funny how all their names when they sponsor this kind of stuff all kind of sound the same, huh? A Democrat and sponsor of the bill celebrated the bill in a statement saying that this law is about making sure no student is left behind. So you're stealing W's line now. Interesting, because that didn't work real well either. Because of where they were born, her office told Fox News Digital that the measure eliminates the patchwork of confusing and sometimes conflicting requirements that have excluded undocumented, documented, as they put it, and mixed status students from critical aid. The bill builds upon Villanueva's longstanding advocacy for immigrant and first-generation students by creating a more consistent and inclusive pathway to accessing support, her office statement continued. Representative Mary Miller, Republican Illinois, said that allowing taxpayer-funded financial aid for illegal aliens is a slap in the face to hardworking Illinois families and students, which she's not wrong. Our state is drowning in debt, yet Mr. Pritzker, otherwise known as That's No Moon, That's His Ass, is determined to drain even more taxpayer dollars to reward illegals. She continued, it's absolutely shameful. The move by the Illinois governor, and hopeful for the Democratic presidential nomination of 2028. Him and Newsom in a slap fight. Got to make that happen. Comes shortly after Pritzker touted President Trump's big, beautiful bill as a threat to much-needed federal Medicaid funding that his state simply could not afford to cover. As Illinois was slated to lose $48 billion in Medicare funding over 10 years as a result of the BBB, Pritzker took to the press to decry this shameful, if you ask me, and it's going to be very hard to recover. The state of Illinois can't cover the cost. No state in the country can cover the cost of reinstating that health insurance that is today paid for mostly by federal government, partly by state government. The funding for his education bill could have gone to help offset Illinois' healthcare costs. Just pointing that out. And I just realized I forgot to do something, so hang on, let me do that before is that even the same one? Nope, it's not. I'm going to have to go find it now because I was going to share out an article while we were on break and I forgot. I was going to say, dude, that's actually, I mean, honestly, I grew up, my grandparents always drank coffee, so it was always a big deal for me because they would, whenever I was around them, they would get up super early and I would always sneak out super early and go sit and drink coffee with my grandparents. So it was always kind of a thing for me. But yeah, once I started working weird schedules, coffee was my go-to. I did, the whole coffee and donuts thing for cops. Once I went private security, I always joked that it was coffee and Twinkies now because I couldn't afford donuts because, not a real badge anymore. But yeah, not being into coffee is a little weird, especially don't take this the wrong way, but especially at your age, you're like the perfect age for the people that subsist on nothing but caffeine and nicotine, and that usually involved coffee. So anyway, hey, no Eastern language curse words in my chat, sir. I honestly don't know. That is something I have not ever been able to figure out. I can usually fake my way through most languages, and especially now with Grok and everything else. But I'm good with languages, except for those. Those are pictograms. That's not a language. That's a comic book. I don't like those. Anyway, sorry. I'm getting distracted by my chat room, but it was very inactive on Friday, so I'm enjoying the fact that people are actually here today. Apparently, a lot of the folks that listen to my show are Catholics, and yesterday or Friday was a service day for them, so everybody was at mass during my show, and I found out about it later. It's like apparently I have a lot of Catholics in my chat, so we got to talk about this. So, and we've been talking about it for a while. Comcast is spinning off all their news groups, so folks like MSNBC, as we lovingly used to call them here, MSDNC, are having to change their name. So I would like to point out the fact that the new name, somebody did not think this through. So before I put this on the screen, because it'll take me a second to get it set up, I would just like to talk to you. Oops, I realized I'm on the wrong tab. I didn't mean to do that yet. All right, so as I'm working on getting this put up on the screen, I would just like to point out that somebody, whoever it is, did not think this name change through very well, because the new name change, which is supposed to kick off at some point this year as they complete their spinoff, is going to be MS Now. So basically, they're keeping the MS, and it's going to be news, opinion, and the world. But somebody didn't think this through. Because the first thing I thought of was this. And they did not think this through. Don't get me wrong. I'm kind of glad they didn't think this through, because I was wondering how I was going to be able to make fun of them now, and I've already found it. So in case you're wondering, because this is Grok. Grok helped me do this. This is Rachel Madcow in a cow printed hoodie with the new name that I have given them, PMS Now, because somebody did not think this through for folks like me. All right. So anyway, yeah, I have to admit it was weird because I kept trying to get Grok to work with the original logo and just kind of put her in the corner and add the P to the front, and he kept getting it wrong. So I finally just told him, just never mind, and told him I don't remember exactly what I told him to do, but then all of a sudden he spit out this one, and I'm like, this is almost exactly what I was looking for, other than having the wrong logo colors. So I'm just gonna run with this. So it's weird how sometimes, much like President Trump, AI kind of backs into exactly what you're looking for. Again, I am not a Trump sycophant. I'm just going to say that again. I admire him. I'm encouraged by a lot of the things that he's trying to do, but when I feel like he gets things wrong, I'm definitely going to tell you. I had mixed feelings about Friday. I really did. But seeing what's happened now since then, I kind of understand the method to his madness again, which is another thing that I'm going to tell all my leftist friends. Before you just jump out there and start, oh my God, Donald Trump's terrible, maybe give it a few days. See if what he's doing is actually working. Because here's the other thing that I find absolutely hilarious. So the other day, when Donald Trump federalizes MPD, the left has a fit. This is authoritarianism. This is what Nazism looks like. And then they start touting the fact that he backed off a little bit because he's being sued. But I thought he was an authoritarian Nazi. Why would he care if he's being sued? So confused. I can probably help you with that, BZ. It took me a while to get him to do the things that I wanted to do. Also, if you don't have it yet, the Grok standalone app usually works much better for things like that too. So, and it is free to everybody that has a blue check. So, for now, I'm sure they'll be changing that soon. But yeah, so I don't know. To me, I'm going to put this back on the screen one more time because it makes me smile. They did not think this through. Not at all. All right. All right. So here's something that you don't see that often either. as we move on to the topics du jour for the day. Did you know there are actually lefty Trump supporters? I didn't know there were very many, but apparently there are at least a few. So this is from Matt Vespa over at Town Hall. And I'm looking for the clip now. So hang on. Where the volume went. I didn't bring it back up after the transition. Whole reason I normally play other songs as I'm transitioning away from the opening segment is so I can make sure I get a chance to bring the volume back up. And I forgot to do it. Did I mention I'm my own producer? So I would love to fire me, but then there wouldn't be a show.
There have been some absolutely major shifts. The idea that Ukraine's going to achieve complete victory, that idea has collapsed within Ukrainian society. What are we talking about here? Ukrainians on the war versus Russia. You go back to 2022, the start of the war. Fight until Ukraine wins. Look at this. The vast majority, about 3/4, 73% agreed with that position. Negotiate to end the war as soon as possible, only 22%. Look at where we are now. It's a complete flip. It's the inverse. Now 69% want to negotiate to end the war as soon as possible, compared to just 24% who want to fight until Ukraine wins. That's a 49-point drop in this position. Now, of course, negotiating to end the war as soon as possible, that's a bit more nuanced, right? Ukrainians don't want to agree to all of Russia's demand, but I think the idea of even there being some territory that would be not formally recognized as being given that Russia could in fact stay in, that does have majority support, but the idea of formal recognition of Russia's demands, absolutely not.
All right. Why do you think that opinion has changed to the extent that it has?
Well, I think one of the big reasons why opinions have changed is this idea that this war is going to end anytime soon. Ukrainians don't think it will. Take a look here. Ukrainians on the war ending within a year. Just 25% say that it is likely. Look at this. 68%. 68% say it is unlikely that the war will, in fact, end in a year. And you'll notice, John, this 68% looks a heck of a lot like the 69% who say that they want to negotiate to end the war as soon as possible.
So President Trump overnight ruled out Ukraine joining NATO, seemingly ever, but what do Ukrainians feel about that?
Yeah, obviously Ukrainians would like to join NATO. That has been a goal of theirs for a number of years. But the idea that that NATO admission will happen within 10 years, look at the collapse in this position. 2022, it was 64%. Now it is just half that level at 32%. So again, this is one of the goals that, Ukrainians had since the beginning of the war. They no longer believe that it's achievable. Well, the idea that Russia is going to be forced out of all of that land that they're occupying, they don't necessarily believe that is going to happen. So again, I think this is one of the reasons why Ukrainians, they certainly don't want to accede to every Russian position, certainly not most of them, but the idea that they do want to negotiate an end to this war as soon as possible, that has now gone through the roof. Again, we're talking about 69%, which is such a big difference from where we were at the beginning of the war when it was just 22.
Wanting to negotiate doesn't mean wanting to surrender.
Correct.
It means wanting to discuss, and not believing that they'll join NATO is different than wanting to join NATO.
You got it.
But you can very much see how Ukrainian thinking has changed over the last few years.
Absolutely, John.
Harriet, thank you.
Thank you.
BZ's bringing up a great point in the chat room, and this is actually one of the things that I believe actually instigated the push further into Ukraine, is the fact that the Biden administration put Ukraine joining NATO back on the table, which was actually signed away as a possibility quite some time ago. So did I mention that us breaking an agreement, or at least signaling that we might be willing to break an agreement, might have actually been some of the cause of this? Did I mention that the Biden administration was pulling a great Ferengi impression and actually supplying both sides through back channels? Did I mention that? So yeah, BZ in the chat. Let me be blunt. Russia insisted on no more NATO countries on their borders. That was agreed and also signed upon at some point. Finland was the last. Now we're upset that they're upset, and Obama gave them Crimea. Yeah, that's the other thing. Nobody wants to talk about what really started this. This isn't a new war. This has been going on for a while. Circa 2014, 2015, Barack Obama basically watched them walk into Crimea and did nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just watched. Joe Biden, as the buildup to everybody kind of reading the tea leaves and realizing this was going to happen, when asked by his own media what the response would be if Russia invaded Ukraine, well, I guess it depends on the size of the invasion. What? This is why I laugh my ass off every time the left tries to tout him as some sort of great statesman. The dude signaled it was okay for them to do what they were doing. Not only that, he made it possible for them to do what they're doing by us basically going back on our word on something. Whether anybody wants to admit it or talk about it or not, it's a completely different thing. But the fact that this has been going on for as long as it has been, and the fact that Donald Trump is now being touted by the leader of the UN, so take this with a grain of salt, as the only man who could get this done to the point where they are. This isn't the first time they've said things like this either. Even Putin, during his remarks on Friday, it was like if Donald Trump had been in office, there likely wouldn't have been this need to have invaded Ukraine. The left isn't liking any of this because it's taking all their narratives and turning them on its head. So this is why well, of course they're going to say this. They're afraid of him, so they're going to say whatever he wants them to say. Really? That's not exactly what's happening. All right, so as we start moving into the more funny parts of the program, so you may have seen this the other day. Apparently, Gavin Newsom put this out. Well, the Governor Newsom's press office put this out. Yeah. So here, let's just take a look. And it helps if I click on the right tab. So Governor Newsom, I accept, and of course you can kind of see this is AI that is meant to look a little bit like Kid Rock, and it says to support Gavin Newsom. And well, actually, let's just bring out the actual full graphic because it's only showing part of it. So hang on. It'll take a second to load over because I got to go over to X. So yeah, Kid Rock wants you to support Gavin Newsom. Well, Kid Rock has kind of weighed in on this now, just in case you're wondering. And at the time of this publication, the post had 4.9 million views, and this is from our friends at Red State. But the press office wasn't done yet. It also made a post tagging the rocker just to make sure he saw it with his name in the post and nothing else. And another one a few days earlier showing the slick-haired governor surrounded by the likes of Kid Rock, Tucker Carlson, and Hulk Hogan, sporting angel's wings following his recent passing, which is more than a little bit disturbing. So, yeah. I'm not even putting that one on the screen. That's just weird. That's just weird. But apparently, like I said, so it was just a matter of time before Richie jumped on social media on Monday and discovered the meme and responded in the most classic Kid Rock fashion possible, even finding a clever way to use President Trump's infamous term for the Democrat governor, Newsom. He reposted the original post from Newsom's office and wrote, "The only support Gavin Newsom will ever get out of me is from these nuts." That I am putting on the screen. Hang on. Because I hadn't seen this yet. Oh. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to read that again. "The only support Gavin Newsom will ever get out of me is from these nuts." Did I mention I don't know. I've kind of had a mixed bag throughout my life with Kid Rock. I've kind of become more of a fan again lately. Only because he has kind of become an outspoken just person who doesn't hold back anymore. So to me, this was, of course, truly hilarious and also a great response to Newsom's press office, which has been pathetically trying to get the president's attention and his own name in headlines after making numerous posts on X using all caps, blasting the president on what seemed to be an hourly basis. So this is from Bob Hoge over at Red State. So he actually reported on the pathetic nature of Newsom's recent attention-grabbing antics, including his thread to gerrymander the state of California even further for Democrats in response to Texas's plans for a new congressional map that will give Republicans 5 more seats. I still think Governor Abbott set the bar too low. And this is a quote from the article exactly, but his other response has been even more pathetic. He seems to now dream of being a social media star, an influencer, the Taylor Swift of politics. Hey, it's a lot better than trying to figure out how to effectively govern the most populous state in the union. Instead of trying to solve the myriad issues the Golden State faces, he's taken to regularly recording a cringe-inducing podcast where he cosplays as someone else entirely and pretends that the guy who was a vociferous proponent of extremist positions actually was someone else not named Gavin. So here are a few examples of them now parroting Donald Trump's communication style, which is funny because until 5 minutes ago, they said anybody that talked this way was a loser. So Donald is finished. He's no longer hot. First, the hands so tiny, and now me, Gavin C. Newsom, have taken away his step. Many are saying he can't even do the big stairs on Air Force One anymore, except he's still using them. We just saw that the other day. Uses the little baby stairs now. Sad. So the Smithsonian is supposed to be a global symbol of American strength, culture, and prestige, a place for families and children to celebrate American history and greatness. Instead, the exhibits have clearly been taken over by left-wing activists who have used the Smithsonian, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, this is that account making fun of Stephen Miller, which you can either say is a good or a bad thing. Again, mixed bag with Stephen Miller myself, so... But no, this is just insane to me. And the funny thing is, when you now have people on the right pointing out that this is kind of childish because they're mimicking the style of somebody that they once said was a moron, now they're being called out for calling him childish and moronic when they never say that about Trump. I've never been a fan of Donald Trump's communication style on social media. But it's really hypocritical to me for the group that, says he's terrible. The only way they can seem to get any attention is to try to act just like him. I'm going to say this again, and I said this the other day. That doesn't usually even end well for Republicans that try to do that. So I don't think it's going to end very well for Gavin Newsom. All right, we are at bottom of the hour, so we've got one more break. We'll be right back. My name is Rick Robinson. This is my show. We do this every Tuesday through Friday. Normally, for most of the shows, between the hours of 10 and noon Eastern. Friday, we do have the extended edition because we do the Weekend News Roundup with Brad Slager, which I'm also now splitting off into its own standalone segment that you guys can catch at your leisure on the weekends. It'll take me a while to get it all copied over and get it into its own place, but I started that the other day. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
On those salad days when kids go out and play, yo, I was up in my room, I let the stereo play. Wasn't faded, not jaded, just a kid with a pad and a pen and a big imagination. All this I see, I find, push the envelope to the line. Make it, break it, take it, until I'm overrated. Click, click, boom, I'm coming down on the stereo, maybe on the radio. Click, click, boom, I'm coming down with a new style, and you know it's not wild. Click, click, boom, I'm on the radio station, tour of the nation, leaving the scene of devastation. I can see it in my mind, I can see it in their eyes. It's closing up to touch it now, far away enough to touch. What the hell is wrong with me? My mom and dad work perfect, but still you don't hear no crying ass bitching from me, like there seems to be on everybody's CD. So just sit back and relax and let me have your head for a minute. I can show you something in it that has yet to be presented. Oh yeah. Click, click, boom, I'm coming down on the stereo, hit me on the radio. Click, click, boom, I'm coming down with a new style, and you know it's not wild. Click, nation, torn from the nation, leaving the scene in devastation. While I floated up my mind, why's my mother always right? And will I make it till the end? Or will I crawl away and die? Click, click, boom! Click, click, boom! Click, click, boom! Click, click. Those Saturdays when kids go out and play, yo, I was up in my room, I let the stereo blaze. On Saturdays when kids go out and play, I was up in my room, I let the stereo play. It's all inside of me. It's all inside of me. It's all inside of me. It's all inside of my head. It's all inside of me. It's coming out of me. It's all inside of me. It's all inside my head. Yeah. Click, click, boom. I'm coming down on the stereo. Give me on the radio. Click, click, boom. I'm coming down with a new style. And you know it's both wild. Everybody, everybody, come on. Come on, come on. Everybody, come on. Come on, come on. Click, click, boom. Come on, come on. Everybody, come on. Come on, come on. Click, click, boom. Come on, come on. Everybody, come on. Come on, come on. Click, click, boom. Come on, come on. Everybody, come on. Come on, come on. Click, click, boom.
And welcome back into the program. All right, Denny, that's 10 demerits, dude. You came in like the last 20 minutes of the show. That's a total of 10 demerits for you. Who cares about your meetings? Tell them they're interfering with your radio life. Just saying. All right, anyway, so we're back. We're live. It's Tuesday, which is technically this week, kind of my Monday because I took the last couple of days off to try to get caught up on a few things again. Still playing catch up from when things were going nuts. But I feel like there's a lot more we need to talk about. I'm going to save some up for tomorrow because, like I said, we've only got like 20 minutes left. This is what happens when you get used to doing a 3-hour show and then for other reasons have to cut things back. So yeah, lots left on the table still, but I've got a clip that I want to play here to help speed some of this along. So I think we're finally getting the entire story as to why Texas Democrats finally came home.
This is from Chicago, and those are Democrats from Texas boarding a plane. Now, I guess we don't know exactly where the plane is headed at this point, but we do know that there are reports that Texas Democrats are planning to return to Texas today, ending their walkout, which are protesting Republican redistricting plans. So Texas Democrats getting on a plane in Chicago. If they go back to Texas, it will likely pave the way for Republicans to pass the new congressional map. Also today, in California, Democratic lawmakers have set to introduce new congressional maps they hope will offset what Republicans are doing in Texas.
All right, so I'd like to point out a couple things with this. One, these maps aren't being submitted by California lawmakers. They're being submitted by the DNC. just so you know. Two, I don't think any of this is going to work for Californians because they have to put it to a vote. And again, I know the poll was misleading because in the poll that originally asked the question, they made it sound like they were going to permanently do away with the independent redistricting group, and that is actually not accurate. So, but at the same time, I don't think Californians are on board with this. Now, don't get me wrong, because Gavin Newsom and the folks that are in charge of elections over there seem to do a really good job of counting till they get the results they want. Which brings up another interesting story, because apparently Donald Trump is now making a push to do away with mail-in voting. For all the leftists that are that's heads are imploding right now, I'm pretty sure that probably will not have anything to do with our military folks, because those used to be the only people that were allowed to vote by mail, was people that were in the military or people that were requesting an absentee ballot in advance because they knew they were going to be elsewhere and still wanted to be able to vote in their elections. I kind of think we need to go back to that because of what we saw in 2020, because of the ballot fairy showing up in the middle of the night with all of these ballots that were just, they didn't even try to make it look legitimate. It was just a bunch of ballots that voted for president and nothing else showing up in the middle of the night. So I think this is a good move. Will it happen? I don't really know. Well, the other thing is, even if they redistrict, what else can they do? I mean, they've already gotten to the point where they count the votes until they get the results they want in some of their tighter districts. They're like, see, we told you Donald Trump's not actually that popular. He lost seats in California. Yeah, because you counted for 65 fucking days until you got the results you wanted. So at least by Gavin Newsom coming out and saying, well, since Texas is going to do this, we're going to do this in California. At least you're being upfront about your cheating now. I know, right? I don't understand that. You know, with technology being the way it is today, you'd figure we could actually have the results within a few hours. Because, you know, when we used to vote on, you know, using paper ballots and had to do hand counts and shit, we had results by the next day. It's weird how that's changed, huh? Weird how that's changed. Because remember, technology is supposed to make things easier, faster, smoother. Oh, all right. So I don't know if this is a good choice or not. I don't know that much about the AG over there, but I know a lot of folks that live in Missouri that aren't popular about some of the weird things that go on in their blue cities where, you know, like you have to file police reports online and shit. So Missouri AG Bailey steps down to take on big role at FBI alongside Patel and Bongino. This is from Bob Hojo over at Red State. We're going to find out about this together because I really have no idea. Missouri has quite the track record in recent years of attorney generals moving on to prominent national roles. Eric Schmidt was appointed to the job in 2019 and won his election in 2020 after Josh Hawley went to the Senate, but then Schmidt too left the post to become a senator. Next to be called up was Andrew Bailey, who was appointed in 2022 and won election in 2024. But on Monday, he announced that he is leaving to join the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It would seem that the job of Missouri AG is quite the stepping stone. So this is actually from the account of Andrew Bailey. I'm proud to announce I have accepted the role of co-deputy director of the FBI. Wait, there's a co-deputy director now? I extend my thanks to POTUS and AG Pam Bondi for the opportunity to serve in the mission to make America safe again. I will protect America and uphold the Constitution. I feel like they're giving this guy a participation trophy. I've never heard of a co-assistant director of the FBI. That just seems weird to me. Bailey will join former Secret Service agent and longtime conservative pundit Dan Bongino as co-deputy directors. Bongino was appointed by President Donald Trump in February. Attorney General Pam Bondi said she was excited about this move. I am thrilled to welcome Andrew Bailey as co-deputy director of the FBI. He has served as a distinguished attorney general for Missouri and is also a decorated war veteran, bringing expertise and dedication to service. That's a quote from Pam Bondi herself. From the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, who has also weighed in, the FBI, as the leading investigative body of the federal government under the Department of Justice, will always bring the greatest talent this country has to offer in order to accomplish the goals set forth. When an overwhelming majority of American people elected President Donald J. Trump again, Patel told Fox News Digital, adding that Bailey will be an integral part of this important mission and says he looks forward to the continued fight to save America together. I still don't understand why we need co-deputy directors. I mean, trust me, I know too, but that's why I'm just trying to just, play devil's advocate. Why do we need 2 deputy directors? Now, if they had done what I thought they were going to do and folded the ATF into the FBI, which I never really have understood why we haven't done that. The only good thing the ATF could be used for is the name of a convenience store, in my opinion. Because, one-stop shop to get your alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. But I just that just seems weird. I thought we were doing away with government positions. I thought we were trying to trim government fat. I is cornfuzzled. Is anybody else cornfuzzled? I feel like they may be about to try to shove Bongino out the way. So they're bringing in a co-deputy director to, after some soul searching, Dan Bongino stepping away from the FBI, blah, 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 yada, yada. I don't know. I don't know. All right. So I don't promote Fox News that often unless it's Gutfeld, this guy, or Kevin Corkle, because those are the ones that, I have a client that shows up on Gutfeld all the time. 2, Corkle actually interacts with pretty much everybody on social media, including me. And I actually like Chase Gallagher's reporting style. So apparently he had some choice words over this recent social media attack and failed imitation of Trump, because it has failed, folks, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, on the left. Which is why I'm going to say this. If Gavin Newsom is the best the left has to offer for 2028, all I can say is bring it. So it's no secret that California Governor Gavin Newsom is trying to set himself up for a run for the president in 2028. His latest effort to get attention on the national stage is pretty lame, even for him. His team has been trying to imitate President Donald Trump's tweet style from their press office X account, but they can't quite master it. What it shows is that even there, he can't communicate in his style or with his accomplishments. All he can do is try to imitate Trump badly. Even in that, Trump is living rent-free in his mind, since imitation is, of course, the sincerest form of flattery. As colleagues that I work with have termed it, the endless thirsty look at me post after the No Kings attacks from the left on Trump, which were dumb to begin with. Here's what Newsom's team has posted. So I'm going to point this out, and I thought this was kind of funny. So the Newsom's press office account did a mock-up of Gavin Newsom on the cover of Time magazine with the title "Long Live the King" and put him in a crowd. I thought we didn't want kings in this country. I'm confused. So then the press office used an AI image of Kid Rock. We talked about this earlier, a big supporter of President Trump, in memes to look as though he was supporting Newsom. Although as we've discussed earlier, Kid Rock himself said that ain't never going to happen and come suck these nuts. But Newsom stepped in it big time when he attacked Fox's Chase Gallagher. Gallagher then skewed the ridiculous Newsom's efforts big time on his Common Sense segment. And we have that segment now, so let's watch it together, shall we?
Well, the Fox News at Night Common Sense Department is curious that Gavin Newsom decided to criticize Fox News at Night and yours truly on social media. Newsom was, of course, using his new Trumpian style, where he tries to mimic and mock Trump's tone and tenor, not to mention using all capital letters, posting, quote, "Bird brain Trey Gallagher," A so-called Fox News host that nobody has ever heard of says my posts are childish and unbecoming of a leader. So basically, Newsom thinks his mock style is clever. Common Sense thinks it would be more clever if he obsessed less on Trump and more on California. He is, after all, the governor, at least when he's not an influencer or a podcaster. And California isn't just in financial trouble. Its mystique is mysteriously missing. The mamas and the papas would never be caught California dreaming today. Heck, it was only 60 years ago that Jed Clampett's kinfolk told him California is the place you ought to be. So he loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly. Now the trucks are going the opposite direction. In-N-Out Burger just loaded up its truck and moved to Tennessee. California used to be swimming pools and movie stars. Now it's shoplifters and empty reservoirs. Common Sense is well aware that Gavin Newsom is eyeing the nation's top job. But first, he needs to get a whole lot better at this job.
Oh, this just gave me an idea for a coffee mug for Gavin, though. So I'm probably going to be working on that sometime later this week. Just because. It's going to take me a minute because I'm not as quick with graphics designs as Jeff is. So, but yeah, so I think Gallagher said a lot of good stuff there. Because look, again, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And to me, what this imitation is signaling is we can't beat him, so we're going to join him in the hopes that we can peel people away from him. And I don't think it's going to work for them. I just don't. Because not only are they imitating somebody that 5 minutes ago they said was an absolute moron, they're out and out lying to people about the things that they're posting, which is what they say that he does. And again, I would like to point out in the final few minutes of this program that we're now seeing in full display everything you ever need to know about leftists. They have no original ideas. They steal ideas from everybody else, take them as their own. And then to top everything else off, anything you hear them say about anybody else is projection because they're already doing the very things that they told you that they were afraid this guy was doing. If you don't believe me, look at all the things they said about Donald Trump in the run-up to his 2015, 2016 campaign. And now we're finding out everything they tried to make you believe he was doing, they have actually not only been doing themselves, but trying to make it seem as if he was the one that was doing it. This is why common sense matters in this country. And this is why our election system is failing us on every possible level, because we're not teaching kids common sense anymore. We're not teaching them how to think for themselves. Because people who can think for themselves can't be as easily manipulated as those who don't. And whether we like it or not, our education system may have failed a lot of folks. But the overreach during COVID woke a lot of folks up, and it started pushing people towards being able to think for themselves again. And now they're looking at all these things that up until 5 minutes ago were conspiracy theories and finding out that a lot of them are actually correct. That there are reasons that we should be concerned about some of the things that are being put in our food, whether it's happening by accident or on purpose. I couldn't really tell you, but there's no reason that some of the same ingredients that are being used in Subway bread should show up as ingredients on how we make tires. I don't care how inert or inactive they claim those ingredients are. It's common sense. Why are we making things like fast food and junk food more addictive? Why are the same people that left the tobacco industry after figuring out how to make those things as addictive as possible now working in the junk food industry? Then you're seeing all this rise of kids that are always constantly wanting junk food. Hell, I have this argument with my 5-year-old granddaughter every single day. If I ask her what she wants for dinner, chicken nuggets and tater tots, please, Papa. But that's not what we're having for dinner tonight. But that's what I want for dinner. Because there, and I will freely admit this, as an experiment, for almost 2 months, I did not have a single bowl of breakfast cereal. Not one. And then one day I decided, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and eat one. And I kind of did it on purpose because all I've heard is, with these sugary snacks, sugary cereals and everything else, they're triggering your limbic system or your system that gives you pleasure when you eat them. And they're also triggering your appetite when you eat them. And they weren't wrong. Like I had one bowl and then I had to stop myself because I kept wanting to go back for more and more and more and more. ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not, some of the people that are in charge of some of the biggest agencies in this country are not there because they want to make your lives better. They're there because they want to maintain control. Think about this from another perspective. Take everything Agenda 2030 says at face value for the next 30 seconds. How much easier is it to control you if you can't fight? How much easier is it to control you if you have an extra 50, 60 pounds around your midsection and make it impossible for you to be able to run from people for more than a few minutes? This is coming from somebody who does have those exact problems and is working to try to fix them. It's taking forever. So all I'm going to say to anybody that's younger than me that is listening to this or watching this right now, whether it's live, podcast, Memorex, however you choose to listen, don't fall into the traps. Don't get into a sedentary lifestyle, because it's going to be something that you're going to regret later. Because when I was active every day, when I was out in the streets every day, when I was walking properties, when I was walking beats, when I was in cars, when I was surveilling suspects or subjects or whatever it was that I was doing in my 20s and my 30s, I was a lot more fit than I am now. And then I took a job where I had to sit down all the time. And then my inner fat kid definitely became an outer fat kid. And it's been harder and harder and harder to get away from that as I've gotten older. So just don't fall into the traps. Remember, some of the reasons why they give you these large portions at restaurants isn't because they were expecting you to eat the whole thing. It's one, it justifies how much they charge you to themselves. And two, they're expecting you to take some of it with their logos and take it back to work the next day or whatever the case may be, and have that logo show up in your break room or your lunchroom so that it's advertising. I was doing really good with that for a while too. I would actually, when I went to a restaurant, like a good steak restaurant or something, I would have them bring, once they brought the plate out, I would grab the knife, start portioning everything, cut it in half, ask for a box, and put the rest of it in there. I've gotten out of that habit again. I need to start that again. But, and trust me, they used to look at me like I was crazy at first. Like, can you bring me a box? Because I'm going to need one in a second. And they would come back and I'd have everything cut in half and spread out on one part of the plate versus the other and just start putting it into the box. And then it would make sense. But the other thing to keep in mind, and I know this sounds like an old person thing, if you're paying 30, which I just looked for the prices for Outback, because we're going to be going in the next few days here in Oklahoma. If you're paying almost $30 for a steak dinner, cutting in half makes it 15 a meal. So I would recommend probably looking into that too. Right? Yeah, BZ just made a hell of a point in chat. He's like, that was okay, but it could have been a hell of a lot more pointed. Trace was being way too nice. But then again, remember, he is actually part of a news network and kind of has to censor himself. Especially because he does try to portray himself as more of an actual news commentator rather than an opinion commentator. Yeah. But yeah, prime rib is in my near future. Because anyway, that's if I'm gonna go to a steakhouse, it's either anymore. It's got to be either ribeye or prime rib, because it's just, if I'm gonna pay that much for a steak, I'm gonna get the best, one of the better ones you got. Anyway, believe it or not, folks, we are just about out of time. Want to thank everybody for taking the time to hang out with us. We got nearly 300 on a Tuesday. That's not too shabby. Want to thank everybody for taking the time to hang out, especially those that are taking the time to hang out in the chat room with me. And it's funny because I talked about this with Corin the other day, because we had pretty high numbers on Sunday. And he's like, for everybody that's listening, it's weird that only a handful of 15, 20 people usually wind up chatting. I'm like, that's because, and I noticed this, sirloin. Anyway, sirloin. Yeah, they lie to you about that. They only call it the sir of loin because they want you to think it's important, and it's not. But anyway, but yeah, Corin was like, it's weird that only a handful of people actually comment in the chat room with as many people as we usually have watching. I said, no, not really, because for a time I was actually getting to play on local radio here in my area, and it was funny because I was getting to guest a lot. And the same 5, 6, 7 people would be the ones calling in for the 2 to 3 hours that I was on every day, other than the few that would call in from here. The local ones were always the same 5, 6, or 7 people. And it was funny because the first time I ever guested, I got a call after the show was over. He's like, "You realize you had people calling in from North Carolina and Georgia and blah, blah, blah." It's like, did they not tell you what I do when I'm not playing on your airwaves? Because they were really surprised by that. All right, so we're going to get out of here, folks. Don't forget, I'll be back tonight with the Manorama crew as we delve into conspiratainment. This was actually supposed to be my night off, but since they're doing conspiratainment, I will swap tonight for next week because I usually do that one every 2 weeks to try to give myself some more writing time, but tonight will not be that time. Also want to give a quick shout out to my friends and co-hosts and cohorts at Toxic Masculinity. Thanks to our friends at Feed Pods, I think is what it's called. Hang on, I was gonna give it a good promotion, but I just already screwed it up. But yeah, so we are number 4 in the male category for podcasts. Now, I think we started last month. We were at number 5. Now we're at number 4. So trying to get to that number 1 spot. Oh, okay. So never mind. Denny gets 15 demerits. Andrew gets 20. Showing up in the last 30 seconds just to yell 69th. You are a terrible human being, sir, but I love you anyway. We'll be back tomorrow, folks. Same time, same channel. We'll be back tonight with the folks at the Manorama podcast. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and thanks for hanging out with us.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the woods.
This isn't over until I say it's over!
Closing time.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? Game over, man. Game over.
Closing time. Time for you to go out to the places you will be from. Closing time. This room won't be open till your brothers or your sisters come.
I love you, Oklahoma. What a great crowd. I love you.
Say goodnight, Grace.